Hello everyone, and welcome back to the 2018 St. Louis Blitz and Rapid tournament. This is the penultimate round of the Blitz section, so day 5 of the tournament. It's Shakhryar Mamedyarov versus Hikaru Nakamura. Now, a very interesting event, as you all seen how strong Mamedyarov is lately. He won the 2018 Bill Chess Festival, and he's really been performing well here. But he's up against Hikaru Nakamura, who has been known to be one of the greatest speed chess players in the world. So before we check it out, we do have a nice photo challenge, so hope you are ready for it. Who is the gentleman in the photo next to the chessboard? So there we have it. Best of luck to everyone. Now, we also have a nice photo of this game. There you have it. Nakamura on the right, Mamedyarov on the left, and also Nakamura's Red Bull on the right. I've also noticed that Nakamura, as of lately, opens his Red Bull, but I've never actually seen him drink some of it. So once again, it would definitely improve the marketing for Red Bull if he would sometime at least take a sip from it, or at least pour water in it and drink water from the bottle. But yeah, that being said, let's check out the game. Mamedyarov has the white pieces, and it's really an incredible fighting game with a lot of hidden ideas. Mamedyarov opens with knight to f3, the Reti opening. Knight to f6, c4, e6, so transposing into the English. e3, d5, b3, and bishop to e7. Bishop to b2, d captures on c4, b captures on c4, and now c5. Knight to c3, b6, preparing to develop the light square bishop, and here Mamedyarov goes for g4. A standard idea in similar openings where white hopes to sacrifice the g4 pawn. If black doesn't react, of course g5 is coming, but if you capture, then rook to g1 is coming, and perhaps it is playable for black, but I don't think anyone would allow this with black, because the g7 pawn would come under attack, and then you have to play something like this, and then, I mean, you don't want to play something like this. So after g4, we have bishop to b7. Nakamura keeps developing, nicely pinning this knight as the rook is on h1. And here we have g5. Knight to d7 and h4 now, protecting the g5 pawn. And here a wonderful move, knight to e5, getting ready to do some exchanges, because, as we've said, the knight on f3 is pinned. But is it really? Here Mamedyarov sacrifices the exchange. Knight captures on e5. Bishop captures on h1, and here comes queen to a4 check. It's a very peculiar position, as it is a blitz game, so I doubt Hikaru or Mamedyarov ever had this position on the board to like analyze it. Here it seems that the best idea is actually queen to h5, not queen to a4, with the threat of course queen captures on f7 checkmate, and after you defend this, queen to g4 is coming. And it's a nice position for white. After black continues developing, you have this knight to d5 move. A very nice tactical shot. You block this bishop's defense of the knight here. Knight captures here is a threat. You open up this diagonal from the bishop to the rook. So a very complicated position can arise here. But, it's impossible to see everything in blitz. So bishop captures. We have queen to a4 check. Knight blocks, and now f3. As the knight on e5 is guarding the f3 pawn, Mamedyarov would very much enjoy capturing this bishop on h1 at some point in the game. b5, a very nice move by Nakamura. The idea is, if queen captures, then you get rook to b8, attacking the queen and the bishop here. And now white doesn't really have a choice. You have to capture here, and after queen captures, knight captures. And here king captures, leaving this idea for the moment here. So after knight a4 defending, bishop captures on f3, and all is well here for black. So after this b5 move, we have knight captures here. And although it seems this knight can't move, because knight to c7 is a terrible threat, Nakamura actually plays this. He plays knight captures on e5. And here, for some reason, Mamedyarov played bishop captures on e5. He doesn't go for knight to c7 check. With a double check against the king. There is no other thing to do here than king to f8, and perhaps he saw here that after knight captures rook, then the bishop can come back into the game, or knight captures on f3 would even be an idea. But simply bishop captures on e5. You grab a knight, you protect the knight here, the rook is still under attack, and after rook defense, queen c6. Everything is guarded, the queen is guarding the f3 pawn, so all is well here. But of course, this is blitz, you can't see everything. So here, instead of this knight c7, a double check, bishop captures on e5 by Mamedyarov, and here we have castles. You can't leave the king there for a bit more, because here, if you try and get this bishop back into the game, you get bishop captures on g7. And after rook moves, you get knight d6, and this is checkmate, as the bishop is now guarding the f8 square, and it's a double check from the queen and the knight. So a lot of problems here. So after castles, we have bishop to e2, now guarding the f3 pawn, f6, we have queenside castle and the bishop to g2 now, as it is attacked on h1. Rook g1 and the bishop to h3. And here we have bishop to a1, getting the bishop out of the way. e5 and now knight back to c3. Bishop to e6, queen to c6, attacking the bishop on e6, and now queen to c8, offering a trade of queens. And now another beautiful attacking idea by Mamedyarov, knight to d5. The idea, of course, is if queen captures queen, then knight captures bishop on e7 with check, king moves, knight captures here, and white would be up a dark square bishop. So after this knight to d5 move, we have bishop to d8, getting the bishop out of the way. And now Mamedyarov is very happy to exchange. Queen captures, rook captures, and pawn captures on f6. Bishop captures, knight captures, rook captures, and now comes the bishop captures on e5. Rook to f7 and now f4. Nakamura is up the exchange, but Mamedyarov has a nice bishop pair, and also the pressure on the g file is more than enough to compensate for the exchange. Rook to c6, we have king to b2, now comes rook d7. Bishop back to c3, guarding the d2 pawn. Bishop to f5 with some nice threats, as the bishop covers b1, so rook here to here could be very annoying at some point. h5, preparing to push h6, or simply not allowing g6. Rook b6 check, and king to a1. At some point during the live feed, I was watching this game live, and the commentators, Yasser and Jen, mentioned at some point that it's very unfortunate that you have to put the king to a1. And the king will be completely cut off, but you don't have any other options here. If king c1, rook b1 is checkmate, and it's a very nice idea if you go king a3. Just a nice tactical shot. Feel free to pause the video here and find this beautiful mating idea. So feel free to do it. I will give you a couple of seconds. For those of you who have found it, congratulations, you are an excellent spotter of tactical shots. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, rook db7. A simple idea that simply there's no way to prevent rook to a6 checkmate. So, I mean, there is, but you have to, suffer severe loss of material. For example, rook captures, and then it would just be unplayable, a rook and bishop against the bishop. So yeah, after this rook to b6 check, king to a1, now the king is cut off, but okay, king f8, bishop to g4, bishop captures, rook captures, and now h6, not allowing white to push h6. a3, making some room for the king, rook b7, and now rook back to g1, not allowing rook b1 check. We have rook to e6, bishop to e5, and now comes rook to d7. Rook to g2, defending the d2 pawn, and now rook goes back to b7. King to a2, and now rook to d7. White is still better here, but in a blitz game, it's not always that easy to find the correct plan. King b3, we have rook b7 check, king c2, and the rook to a6. Going for the a3 pawn, and bishop back to b2, simply defending it. Rook a to b6, attacking the bishop, bishop to c1, and now rook to b1. We have rook to g6, rook to a1, preparing the other rook to come to b1, d4 now. Rook to a2 check, and this is the critical moment of the game. But I will show you how the game went on for a couple of moves, and then we're gonna return, so you will be able to understand better why this is the critical moment of the game. Here, king to d3 was played, and this is the losing move of the game. Rook to b1, attacking the bishop. We have rook g1 defending, and now comes rook to b3 check. And now this is the problem. King e4 and rook to c2, now attacking the bishop. There is no square for the bishop to go to. There's no move white can play here. Mamedyarov played d captures on c5, and here simply rook to b1. And now the bishop has no squares left. If you move it, you can even lose the rook on g1. So king d5 was played, but now simply rook captures on c1 was played. And it was in this position that Shakhryar Mamedyarov resigned the game. even though he played a wonderful game and was better for most of the game, there was nothing to do. But why I say rook a2 check was the critical moment in the game is because here Mamedyarov went king to d3. Had he gone king to c3, there's no problem, because now the same variation doesn't apply. There is no rook b1 attacking the bishop, rook g1, and now there is no rook b3 check to kick the king all the way here to trap the bishop, because from c3 the king is covering the b3 square. But you know, in this struggle with the speed and everything, there was just no way to see that this would be the critical moment of the game. I mean, someone checks you, you want to get your king between the pawns to safety as possible, start pushing your d pawn, but yeah. Unfortunately, a very nice game for Hikaru Nakamura. So as I said, this was the penultimate round, and it was here that Nakamura already won the tournament, even though he lost his game in the final round. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it and that you've enjoyed this very short coverage of the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz tournament. And we do have a couple of more interesting statistic photos here. So there you have it, Hikaru Nakamura. He won the Rapid and Blitz in St. Louis. He won $37,500, won 13 tour points, so he has position first. Here we have, these are the final standings of the combined Blitz and Rapid. Nakamura in first place, 22.5, Maxim Vachier-Lagrave 21.5, Mamedyarov in third, 21, Fabiano Caruana 20, Aronian with 18, Sergei Karjakin, Lenier Dominguez, Alexander Grischuk, Wesley So, and Vishwanathan Anand in last place. For example, as you can see, Wesley So in 9th place here in St. Louis Rapid and Blitz, but he did have a couple of great events during the Grand Chess Tour. So in this total Grand Chess Tour 2018 overall, you can see that Wesley So is actually in 4th place. So Nakamura, these are the standings of the Grand Chess Tour total, is currently in first place with 33 points. So it will not be easy to catch up to him, but you know, anything can happen. He so far $90,000 for the first prize of the Grand Chess Tour. Then Maxim, Sergei Karjakin, Wesley So, Levon Aronian, Mamedyarov in 6th, Grischuk in 7th, Fabiano Caruana in 8th, and Vishwanathan Anand in 9th. So yeah, a lot of interesting things to discover here. So I do hope you enjoyed that as well. I would like to thank Ingenious and Hector Coronado for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon with another game from the Bobby Fischer series, Game 6, Fischer versus Taimanov. Thank you all, and I'll see you soon.